Hello. Sorry, I'm late. Just 1 second. Sorry, guys. Sorry, just need to get in. Yeah, I just need to get. Thank you. Hello, everyone. This is CJNovo982, and today we're back for a brand new video. And apologies, it's a little bit later than normal, especially for our European away days. But we are finally touched back down in the old motherland, and we're here to talk about arguably, in fact, arguably the performance of the season, and certainly the result of the season, as Rangers take a claim for in Sweden for the very first time, getting a phenomenal win, silencing some doubters and starting the Europa League campaign off the perfect way with, again, a great performance that did result in Malmo 0, Rangers 2. But if I sat here and said 6-0, I think anybody who watched the game would say that was probably a bit fair. And I'm pretty damn certain going into yesterday's game, there's not too many Rangers fans that would have begrudged a 2-0 away win. But arguably the biggest conversation point after that game of football was it could have been more. It should have been more. But I've got to say, ladies and gentlemen, despite us obviously having to break that down later in the game recap, the fact that we were able to go there against this level in Malmo team and beat them to 2-0, I will take every day. I took a ricochet of someone's arse cheek in the 91st minute to win 1-0, if I'm honest. But to go there and put that level of performance, to dominate Malmo from really the start, from the first minute of the game to the last, and hammer them down to not allow them to have a single shot on target, that enough for me is again another step in that progression we've been seeing since we're coming back for the international break, with more of the new players getting to play and building up and adding their spice and their talent to the team. You're starting to see us starting to take off and starting to go in directions, and that's exactly what I saw. As I'm absolutely buzzing with that. Truly, honestly, I slept like that all night last night. In fact, I was really tired travelling back, if I'm honest, but it was still up like this, and that's what we're here to talk about today, led by a couple very talented individuals. Now, we are going to talk about just a couple individuals to start, but I've got to say it was a real team effort, again, to dominate an opposition the way that we did has to show everyone was all in. There was possibly a weaker side, which we will speak about in the next couple of minutes, but there are several players I want to talk about from the positive side of things, and that's going to be starting off with the surprise of Nana, Nare, whatever you want to call the laddie. I know Clement calls him Nana, so let's call him Nana then, as he got his very first start at right back. Nana. Done it, it's going to confuse me. It is going to be an old left back, and that was a bit of a surprise, especially to this grey noggin, where again I just need to apologise not only for being late with the upload of the reaction video, but again with the hectic week, the move, the trip and everything, like trying to get everything arranged. This guy had a wee bit of a blunder regarding their boy Yefte, who again had been posting on Instagram saying he was looking forward to the game, preparing for the game. Rangers were firing out pictures of him, so I just led to believe that maybe the suspension never carried over, or maybe I deleted that BS suspension from my mind. But nonetheless, he didn't end up playing. He wasn't gave, and there was a massive opportunity to be played. Now, I think naturally, like everybody at the game, and I'm sure everybody on Twitter and everything that was talking about, it was going to be Sterling, because that was the one that made sense on paper. But it wasn't Sterling getting played out of position. Nah, it was Nana, if you will, who was apparently fitter than Sterling, which probably shows you something, as I think Nana's only played about 9 minutes of football right there. And honestly, I would not have believed that was his first game, or first start, sorry, for his club. I thought he was absolutely unreal. Genuinely, from the first time he went into a shoulder barge, I went, alright, okay. And then he just kept dominating. Every time they kept coming down the side, and they kept swapping wingers, just trying to get anything for him. But he was by far our strongest defender in terms of the full-back position, and he shut down the entire side. There's none. There was never a cross. There was never the same they get to the byline. Every person that ran at Nana at that left-back spot was completely shut down. And what I liked is maybe we've had some more defensive-style left-backs over the years. You know, when you talk about the likes of John Flanagan and stuff like that, who, again, is right-footed, just like Nana is right-footed. And we've seen him be able to lock down a side before, but offer nothing going forward and break down every single attack. But he was actually really good at linking the play and driving forward. But again, his main role was defending. Now, I think Big Robin played a big part of that as well, because, again, you'd have saw him talk to him constantly and just tell him where to be, and that's good communication and leadership for Big Robin proper. And I think that's one of the reasons we brought him in there, to help young laddies like that. So I just thought everybody, and especially led by him, defensively was brilliant, and his attitude, his work rate, he got stuck in. And again, if that's going to be a role that he's going to start battling for, like we mentioned in the preview video, it looks like he is there to sort of push and back up Jeffrey right now, whilst Ridvan Yilmaz has his usual 3-4 month holiday in between the 4 games that he plays. It does make sense, but see me after the game, right? After watching that performance and that level of dominance and domination down that side, limiting a side who are all wing play and just cutting them in half, I've seen that on his weaker side. Can you imagine what level of performance he could put out if he was played at his stronger side? Right back, or again, it's centre back. But I'll be honest, I've been impressed with the 2 centre backs in the last game, so I'm not want to talk about that. I'm talking about if we strengthen that right back position, would it be a major boost to this team? I certainly think so. As Nana shut down an entire side of the park, and I can think of one game specifically we need to start doing that in, and he showed he can do it. So imagine I'm on the right hand side. That's all I'm saying. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. As was a certain centre-back by the name of John Souttar, who had his birthday this weekend, and all I can hope is it was his birthday every weekend, as I thought he was big, he was powerful, and he was outstanding, and I would actually say by far that's his best individual performance in a Rangers shirt. I don't know if people agree with that or anything like that. You know what I mean? I've been quite vocal in my displeasure at some of his performances and some of his blunders and some of his mistakes. But again, you can't just keep holding guys to past and previous errors or, again, rough patches. You look at it recently, I think he's been one of our better players. And again, that was it for me. If he can show his level of that, then I'm in on Big Soapy. I thought he was big, he was powerful. The only couple times that Malmo even threatened to anything, he was usually there to snuff out. He had one really good brave header of a block, and someone that I've been quite critical of over the years on the channel. It doesn't bother me, you know what I mean? It's never personal with these players. I'm a Rangers fan, and seeing a Rangers player playing well means very nice things, so I've got no problem sitting here saying Soapy was absolutely outstanding. Keep that up, John, and keep using that as a cinder block, as you blocked everything, everywhere, and that's what we'll need if he is going to be CB #1. But I know we're starting to get in with the length of the video yet. I'm leaving into the game recap, but I do apologise. I just want to talk about, so I've talked about so many negative stuff and so many poor performances and so many bad performances from individuals so far this season. I just want to enjoy some good performances. So apologies, I know we've spoken about 2 so far, but there's 2 more I want to talk about, because someone I think is getting completely overlooked in this game before we talk about the man of the match, in my opinion. I want to talk about Connor Barron, who, again, I don't think anyone is really speaking about, but he was everywhere at every time. There was even one point where he was the furthest man back from a set piece, and he sort of messed up a header. He tried to header up, but obviously he's not exactly the aerial threat that Miroslav Klose actually is, you know what I mean? The wee man gets up and kind of headers it backwards, he puts his team in danger, but does he sit and sulk, does he go, oh, and ask where people is and moan at somebody else, or does he jog back slowly? Nah, do you know what he does? He notices his mistake, puts the afterburners in, goes in with an absolute stinging slide challenge and win his own mistake back. And I think if there's ever a way to summarise how Connor Barron's been so far in a Rangers shirt, I know some people are going overboard and saying he's the best and that's best and that, best and that. I'm not quite there for him, you know what I mean? And the Barry Ferguson stuff and everything. You know what I mean? Nah, I just can't get there. Barry was my guy. But what the best thing I could say about him is every time this laddie's made a mistake so far in a Rangers shirt, which is allowed to happen, especially when you're young and learning the actual game, is he's no sulked, he's no got frustrated, he's no blamed any others. He's took the own responsibility to clean up his mess, and that's what you need for a midfielder. That's what Jacko used to do, and I think that's the natural replacement right there. And you'd probably argue Barron's playing where Lunny would play, and when Lunny was great, he done that. But we also saw when Lunny wasn't at the top of his game, when he wasn't the best on earth, we've seen him being slow, we've seen him stop, we've not seen him track that down, and for me that's a direct improvement in this team, just that energy and work rate that I think you need, and especially in European away days. So I'll keep this one a wee bit briefer, but I thought Connor Barron was absolutely outstanding and chased and ran over every blade of grass last night. But there is one last player that I want to mention in terms of individually before we get to the game recap and you hear the rest of them get spoken about, because honestly there is a lot to talk about pretty much from every individual, but there is one last player, and I've saved the best from me to thee, ladies and gentlemen, and that is going to be none other than Bajrami, who I thought was absolutely outstanding and showed exactly why we brought him in to the football club. Now, I'm not just talking about his goal, which again we will break down, but did you see his level of calm on the ball? Sometimes too calm for us as fans, as we get a wee bit nervous saying, what's it doing? He's trying to take people on, but that's what we need for the player that again is getting played out of position. Let's not forget, but every time he got it, Velcro, playing in balls. He finished the game with, or should have finished the game, sorry, with at least 2, possibly 3 assists. We're talking about a European away day from a Malmo side that was expected to beat us yesterday. Let's not anybody try and change the rules or change or move the goalposts. They were all expecting us to lose versus this Malmo side. So now that we went there and scanted them and played them off the park, they can't then say, ah, well, it's a bad Malmo side. Nah. And I'm not talking about a left back, ladies and gentlemen. Bajrami is one of the main reasons for me we ripped this team apart and we were so devastating on every counter-attack, because usually when we got the ball, it found the way to him and he made sure he played through the right angles and played people through. And again, he should have finished this game with at least 3 assists. He was absolutely outstanding. These are pinnacle players and performances that's right up there. For me, it is probably a coin toss between Big Soapy and Bajrami, but I just thought the difference he made to us going forward and maybe what he was robbed of overall, getting also the goal, tips him over, and that's what we wanted to see. We wanted to see the likes of this lad start because he can inject something that was not previously in our team, and that was the performance we saw yesterday, and hopefully that continues to build. And again, I'm hopeful eventually, once everyone's fit and everyone's up and running, we see him more central, because you see it, he loves drifting in it, he just wants to get involved, and I think that'll take us to an even further level as a football club when he does get to do his thing in his preferred position. But again, we're talking about Nana, we're talking about Bajrami, new guys getting brought in, played out of position, but being better than the players that was previously playing there. So, aye, for me, smiles all round. But let's get into the old game recap then, shall we? Because going into the game of football, you not only had my brain fart regarding Big Jeff, we also had some passport nonsense with a man where he couldn't actually play as there was a passport issue, which was absolutely shambolic. But again, even the excitement and the great days at Rangers still has a wee bit of a bump in our usual absolute nonsense. But thankfully, that potential nonsense that would have spiralled downhill and downhill and downhill if the result never went away and if we were needing them and we couldn't actually use them. Thankfully, we didn't get punished, but that needs to get resolved very, very soon. A football club our size and our stature can't be continually making silly, daft errors like this, as it's humiliating. I don't know what people are saying, but the reason he missed the game was due to a passport issue. We now move on to the game of football because there was no room for worrying about that or being frustrated with that, because we took the lead just 56 seconds. That's right, I said 56. We need to stop saying 55. We've got that. Let's find 56s. Now and again, you know, manifest. Everybody, 56 seconds into the game of football, we have the ball into the back of net, and it was absolute pandemonium, and it was brilliant the way that it went into the net, and it was brilliant the way that it was played. It was our press that won it, you know what I mean? Because obviously it did come from a slack Malmo back pass, but again, it's our press. It's us being positive for the start. How many times have you seen this Rangers team, especially on tough away days, from the very first whistle over the last year or two, as soon as the whistle comes in, back, you know what I mean? It's back, or it's punting up the park and it's just keeping long balls to Dessers. But the press was there. Dessers is at it, running at it, rounds the keeper, divs everything right, plays the ball beautifully off the post, so it falls to Bajrami's foot to get tucked in to build that laddie's confidence up, get his first goal for the football club and set us on our way. Now, a cynic might say that Dessers missed an absolute sitter, but I'm not going to say that. Big Cyril CD9 plays 4D chess, and he was building up Bajrami, allowing him. He knows he only scores fast goals. He's like, right, this is about a minute here. Let's go ahead and do the fastest European goal for Rangers, for Bajrami, since Gattuso in the late 90s. That start was absolutely perfect and it clearly rattled the crowd as we were nearly in again on another counter-attack. Tom Lawrence just been a little bit slack with the final through ball here and delaying it just a little bit too much. And that was maybe my only criticism in the first 25 minutes, in fact, of the first half. There were so many times we got the ball in the right areas, but maybe instead of having that killer instinct yet, or maybe being fully up and firing, and again, full understanding where everybody wants to be, we were just a little bit slower on the ball, trying to figure out where people were gone. But again, that's because a lot of these players haven't played a lot of football with each other. Again, with us treating late games or start of the season games like pre-season, we're still trying to find that rhythm, and that was maybe the only wee issue. The Lawrence hesitating on that ball, he wasn't the only one, there was others doing it as well, but aye, the only other major talking point to talk about in the first 50 minutes, besides us being on the ball, being bold, being brave, and being dominant, is the fact that Malmo did put the ball into the back of net about 11 minutes into the game, but it was perfect, as I was straight on line with this, by the way. The boy was a mile offside, so there was never a worry about that. And I've actually got to give credit defensively from set pieces. I don't know what happened today, but I like it. Can we start doing it more often, as there was clear communication and a clear line from set pieces? There wasn't somebody standing back here, Souttar wasn't sitting talking to the goalie, everybody was online and they just kept it. And so many times we caught them offside. I think it was from their 4 opportunities to put the ball in the mixer from free kicks, I think 3 of them were offside. And for someone who's been as critical as I have been, and I believe rightly so from us, being set pieces, you have to call out when it goes right, and it was spot on today. Hopefully there's been a breakthrough and we continue, but no, in this football club, I'm sure I'll be saying something different on Sunday. But there was more of that nearlies and maybes, as Bajrami is nearly played in, but it's just slightly behind. Dessers is wanting to get it, but it's just slightly behind. It's starting to get like that, and maybe Malmo started to realise the only way to really get beyond, because I think 25 minutes they chucked it versus Nana. Sahan was said, you know what I mean, on the old wrestling terms, they threw up the X and says Nana Sahan, isn't he right here? So they decided to start to identify Tavernier as the weak point in the game, and it was just became long ball down Tav side, doubling up on Tav side, gone after Tav side every single time, and that's where for me Souttar stood out, as he was bailing him out quite a lot. And I didn't want to be saying that, I do not want to pour negativity on this, but again, I'd say if you're looking at this game fairly without any bias or pull-ins to anybody, you would say the right back area was our weakest area of the park, because clearly Malmo thought that, as that's where they went every time, and the nearlies and the maybes they go in that first half was usually a long ball in behind Tavernier, or beating Tavernier down there and trying to boot crosses in. That Big Soapy came in there and actually cleaned up. And now it's not to say that Tavernier never won his fair share of challenges or anything like that, because I actually thought he won a couple of tackles today and I was like, God, skipperoo, that's nice to see. But aye, there was a clear game plan from Malmo, and I think if you're fair, you'll admit that. It was just kick the ball down the right hand side of Rangers, and where again I think it is popular to sort of blame Tavernier, and he maybe was the weakest player out of our starting 11. I would say that entire right hand side was a little bit frustrating for me, and that goes to Czerny as well, where we're going to speak about the chance in the next minute or two, but it's just incredibly slow. I don't know if you agree with that or disagree with that, but that right hand side is so damn slow, especially when you think of the left hand side, which Bajrami's no a pace merchant, but he's so clever the way he finds areas, and of course he's got Nana there, or he's got Big Jeff who's usually got pace. We've got nothing down there, you know what I mean? Czerny's no the quickest, Tavernier's certainly not the quickest, and I just thought that was like the wee bit of the park that we just needed a little bit more from. But we nearly got a little bit more. It's no surprise it comes to Bajrami. But before Bajrami touched the ball, who was the one that won the ball cleanly and played it to him? It was Nana at left back to Bajrami, and Dessers is screaming for it as he wants it here, but there's a guy here, and again we've got someone who can see the game the way that it can be seen, and he just decides to slide a beautiful through ball into the ocean worth of space in there for Czerny to run through on goal. Now it looked so easy for Czerny to put that ball in the back of net, especially with how wide open he actually was, that you're screaming, ah well, it must be offside. But for me, I think it was onside. That's what I've been told on Twitter anyway, so you can let me know if I'm wrong here, but this is an absolute sitter for Czerny, and if I'm honest with you, the way that he runs through and tries to smash it, does he think his name's Luis Suarez or something like that, trying to put it right in the corner? He doesn't need to. The goalie's already committed his way down. Either go ruin him Because he likes that wee fake shot onto his right. He does it 400 times a game. The one time he should do it, he doesn't. He's like the opposite. Dessers. That is funny to think of. But it's just a really poor finish. And whether he's offside or no, that needs to go into the back of the net. You know what I mean? It's a absolute sitter for Czerny. But again, he's made the right run. He's worked his way through. He did link up play several times in the game. I'm not turning him into the new whipping boy or anything like that. But again, for me, he needs to put that in the back of the net. But again, to be fair to Czerny, where that in was a howler, he did do well after that, as he did get beyond a couple of people. He tries to have a shot that's deflected into the path of Diomande, but it just skips off the old theyve. That was bright, that was positive, but again, it just never quite clicked for Czerny doing that right versus Malmo. And honestly, I think that's the first time I mentioned Diomande's name so far in today's video, but I would actually argue that was his best individual performance. You'll maybe not hear him the rest of the recap because of the way the chances unfolded, but that's no saying that he's had a bad game. I thought he was spot on with the ball. He was very clever. He won the free kicks when he needed to. He beat someone when he needed to. Came into tight areas and got it. But what I really liked was his energy backwards. There was a couple of times, again, with the counter-attack, maybe getting beyond Tavernier. He was gone down there and helping. He was doubling up at the edge of the box. I just thought everything, including his attitude and work rate defensively, was spot on. And it was his best performance for me since last season, in my opinion. And honestly, I want to see more of that. And I feel like I do need to mention it because I said yesterday, or 2 days ago now, sorry, I'm going to get used to it in a minute, that I would be nervous if the midfield was Barron, Diomande and Tom Lawrence. I wasn't sure if that's got enough legs so far, and that was based on the evidence we'd seen so far this season. But give credit where credit's due. They were absolutely on it today, especially for the first 50, 55 minutes, or 56 minutes of the old game, if you will. Then it started to waver as Lawrence's legs started to go a little bit. They were starting to get some tired bodies, but the way they worked together and sat in and covered for each other is the way maybe the midfield should actually be. And I was quite critical of them so far this season, so again I want to give them a wee bit of praise, as well as I thought they were very good today. Now that needs to be the minimum. Can't just be on European away days and when you actually want to turn up. That level of work rate, energy and togetherness we saw versus Malmo has to be what's the norm now when you play St Johnstone, when you play Hibs at the weekend, when you play other teams. You know what I mean? That's got to be it. That level has to be where it's at if you want to be a Rangers player. And that's the difference between good Rangers players and truly greats that people will remember. It's not just getting lost in European lights and turning up. It's continuing that level of performance everywhere. And I want to see it for Diomande, and I want to see that for that old midfield triangle. But where it looked like it was going to be, that was the real big chance. We've already missed a big chance in the first half to make it 2. We then get another opportunity as a counter-attack as we get the ball. I think it's Soupy in the air. The ball eventually gets played to Cyril Dessers, who then plays in Bajrami. It's a counter-attacking opportunity. He's just got to hit it. He's played into the box. He's just got to strike it, and he's probably scored. But he tries a cute little pass back into Dessers, and the defender's already on Dessers' back. We can't get it, and that is the second truly gilt-edge opportunity. Now again, you could argue the reason that Bajrami's passing that in the first place is because he is not a winger. He is not left-footed. This man is a centre-attack mid, and he is right-footed. But again, at the same time, you're expecting someone of his talent, but I just think he thinks the angle's too narrow. He's on his weaker side. He thinks maybe just playing into Dessers gives him the other opportunity. But aye, we did overplay that one, Arsenal style, in the old Arsene Wenger days, if you actually will. And that was a disappointment. Going in at 1-0, being utterly dominant, not allowing a single shot on target. But the entire thoughts in the stadium was, by God, we played great. How have we scored just one? Now, early into the second half, you're always going to see a reaction, especially from a home side, especially with this new European format. We spoke about that previously, that it's all on Malmo to come out and attack, and they obviously did that as they created what was, up to that point, their best opportunity for the game. As they go down Tavernier side, they do beat them too easily. They play the ball into the mixer in the midfielder. I think it's Pena is running onto it, and he ends up spinning it completely over the bar, and that was a major opportunity for them and a major let-off from us, as again, someone of his ability should be putting that into the back of net, at least from that area and the way that it was delivered. But again, you could argue we responded perfectly as we created the exact same opportunity from the left hand side. Gondun, Nana plays in a ball into the mixer. He picks out Czerny. Czerny then does a wee bit chopping, does a wee bit of changing, then goes down wide his own way, plays it into the mixer. Tom Lawrence is there running onto it, but he shanks it and it ends up gone out for a throw-in. Unfortunately, no, the only shank for a throw-in. Wanted to speak about, by God, Dessers, I love you sometimes, but you kill me, big man. We'll get there in a minute or two. But again, balancing out there, their best chance we then recreated within 2 minutes. And it just sort of backed up that even when they threw their best at us, and even if they came out full energy, we still had more than them. And for me, that again needs to be the minimum now. We can't go back to being slow and ponderous because there's clear questions that need to be asked of players. Actually, if they come and play like that, let's keep it going. But again, for me, we started off with that difficult win at Tannadice. We then had a very good performance versus Dundee United. We've now had even better performance, and that's the way it's going to be. So again, I'm not going to keep beating this team down with previous failures. We're seeing clear progression, and I want to see progression for that, because if we can get better than that, I'll be a very, very happy man. There is another opportunity for Czerny as well, as Tom Lawrence picks him out down the right hand side, who's wide open in space, but he kind of hesitates. If I'm honest with you, I think he's just blowing here, you know what I mean? I heard a couple of the groans and everything. I say, why is he not running his fullback? Why is he not getting to the byline? The boy looked like Tom Lawrence after he's tied his lace. He was knackering. It was quite clear to see that Ross McCaulsand was eventually going to be needed as a less than a minute after that opportunity when everyone's screaming, get to the byline, get to the byline. At Czerny, he substituted off with maybe the slowest walk in history. He was clearly blowing out his arse, and it was great to see wee Ross. And, you know, if I had someone out at Twitter during the game as well, if we had a bit of pace here, we'd be in every single opportunity, especially doing that right hand side. And Ross provided that spark almost instantly as he gets on the ball, wins a couple wee bits here, tries to get us down, ends up winning us a free kick. But yeah, Ross's opportunity isn't here just yet. Before I get there, I know, alright, I know, troops, I know he does this to us and he drives us absolutely mental, but for me, I thought this was actually pretty damn good. I know he's getting cooked online, but some of his hold-up play, I thought he was good. You know what I mean? It was a bit of a Morelos throwback if you want to actually go there. Holding the ball up, winning us this, putting pressure on that, setting the press. I thought he'd done loads of wee bits right today. Played in some beautiful through balls into Czerny, into Bajrami. I thought his link-up play with Lawrence, that little triangle with Bajrami, Lawrence and Dessers, the way the wee flicks and everything like that looks actually pretty damn good. But again, we're talking about a striker whose maybe his worst attribute is his shooting. As he gets played in. Bajrami, again, should have another assist here. Gets on the ball, beats a man, plays on a wonderful through ball to Dessers, who does the right run. He's running in, he beats his man, opens his body up. He just needs to hit it. And after about 10 seconds later, he does hit it, but ends up putting out again for a throw-in. And again, I'm right in line with this one. So it nearly hit me in the dish. It just goes right up and round. It looks like one in my drives. Is absolutely infuriating. And again, the biggest criticism you can have of a Rangers team today is it should have been at least 4 or 5, and arguably we should be sitting top of the Europa League right now on goal difference with the amount of clear-cut opportunities we just missed. But aye, I'm not want to get lost in too much negativity here, but that was barking for Dessers, who again does everything right. But again, the worst attribute of our striker is striking the ball towards the goal. But where the chances were starting to get missed, where we've seen this story before, where the nerve starts to build, saying we've been so good here but we've no scored, we know what's going to be happening now. Malmo's going to be throwing the kitchen sink, as Boffem also came on, by the way, who thankfully didn't start this game as he picked up a little bit of a niggle last week and he was just building his way back up. But even him got shut down completely by Nana, never even touched the actual football. The two centre-backs marshalled them very well. I thought Proper was very good in the air and Souttar was very powerful on the grunt. It was a good 1-2 punch for the two centre-backs who now have 5 clean sheets in the last 6. Now I know people say, aye, well, I never got the one that mattered. I get what you're saying, but again, you have to give praise when you go. But I want to talk about the goal now, and it comes from Ross McCaulsand. And it's funny, right? Because signals are always so iffy at stadiums, and I'm like, you know how it's been. It's been like whenever I do my live tweets. There's a moment where, on the sideline, McCaulsand wins a very tasty 50-50, gets there first, it's brave, but he gets absolutely hammered, right? And I've wrote out, and I've tweeted out saying, well done, Malmo, he's 13, right? And by the time I've hit send and it takes ages time, I'm back in because obviously the game's then continued. I'm then watching it, and from there, from him getting back up from a shocking challenge, it should have resulted, and maybe even more than I just looked awful from my angle. Maybe I'm overblowing it and maybe it's getting played too much in my mind. But from there, bing, 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 pass, 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 couple. Then there's a long ball to Dessers, but what Dessers done really well is he took the centre back this way, and that created a massive gap in the middle, and that's where the runners were coming, that's where the wingers were coming, and that's where the invertedness and all that stuff were coming out. It was very clever the way that it was actually unfolding, and this time it was Ross mccaulsand who's then got the space that Dessers has took the centre back for a walk in, and it's, to be fair, it's absolutely brilliant. His first touch sets up this entire move, by the way. His second touch is no bad either, as he smashes it into the back of net, kisses off the inside of the post and goes in to the back of net to absolute pandemonium in the crowd. And you know what I mean? Everyone's bouncing, everyone's saying, I'm like, oh, that's going to be a funny tweet when I react to it because he's just scored. And then I check and it says failed to send after a minute or two in the substitution start there. I'm like, oh, thanks for ruining it, Twitter. But honestly, unbelievable goal. Brilliant for him there. He loves to hit the post. Sometimes it goes in, sometimes it doesn't, but when it goes in, it's brilliant. You can see what it meant to the young laddie, and again, that's the way he should be getting used now, you know what I mean? And I think that protects him in a way and gives him an advantage in another way, because I know he's now scored and maybe Czerny's missed, and I was going, start mccaulsand, drop Czerny at the pit. Let's just bring it down here, because what we're actually seeing now is mccaulsand have 3 or 4 performances now where he's actually playing well. He's no beat down for the start with the pressure versus fresh defenders and everything that's keeping him in handcuffs, that's making him lose confidence. What we're seeing is a young laddie coming into the game the way a young laddie should be coming into the game. Last 15-20 minutes of high pressure games, absolutely, but he's against tiring defenders. He's against teams that are requiring to go forward. It's creating him more space, and it's giving him the opportunity to learn and grow and again have a wee bit of advantage that maybe they have in terms of experience. He's then got in freshness, and we're seeing good performances for him, and that's the way a football club should be run. We're finally working it right. So I know he's scored, I know he's played well, I know Czerny's missed, but there's nothing for me in terms of drop him now and let's do this. Nah, let's keep this going and actually acting again like a professional football club. Keep building up the young laddie as an impact player, and I think that will take us very far, and certainly will take him very far as well. And aye, deserves his moment, deserves his goal. We Ross, we love you, big man. Now, there was another wee gorgeous moment from Bajrami, who picks out another and creates out another opportunity for Dessers, but unfortunately Dessers is starting to blow at this point. He gets played in again wonderfully, and he's got the opportunity, but he ends up overrunning it, slowing down, and end up falling there. I think he was just blowing out his arse, if I'm honest with you. I mean, I think he was trying to show people at the end of the game, and we were all clapping him and everything like that, he was obviously very, very tired. But I get it for big Cyril and everything like that. But it's another gorgeous moment created by Bajrami, no score by Dessers, and it's like, this guy could actually have a ridiculous stat line of a goal and 3 assists, and you wouldn't look away from it. That's how well the Albanian played. Yet still people aren't saying this laddie's the man of match. What more can he do? He's doing his job. It's not his fault that others aren't doing his in terms of the chances that he's created. But aye, that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for the old game of football. Apologies again about it being a wee bit later than normal, but it was just the way the flights worked out. Normally, I take my laptop and I've got a couple of hours after the game to film and that, then we're travelling. But literally, we had 2.5 hours from the game ending. You know how that can be difficult to get away from a game. Go straight to the airport and go through all the check-ins and security stuff like that. So that's why this one was a little bit different from our usual European away days. Hopefully he's forgiven me, and hopefully he's even interested 12 hours later. I don't know how it'll actually go, and if we'll see the regular faces down in the comment section below. But if we do, thank you so much for all your support. Please let me know your thoughts and opinions. We've had some tough times so far this season. Let's lift it. Let's see something in the comments. Who impressed you? Who was your man of the match? I want to see your thoughts and opinions down there in the old comment section below. And as always, I've been Siege992. Win, lose or draw, we'll be here to talk about it no matter the delay. And until next time, I've been Siege992. Again, apparently. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for a preview. All the best and bye-bye.